I'm not obsessed with serial killers, I swear. That's a lie. Yes, I am. So, for you guys who were here when I was reviewing Plastic, this is definitely the same people who did Plastic. Not even gonna lie. So, welcome back to the doctor's office. I am Dr. K. Ray Knight, here to give you proper diagnosis and prognosis and everything comics and comic book characters. Listen to me. I was a fashion school serial killer. Just started, right? And it gets very bloody immediately. But what I find really, really interesting is the main character girl. So we start off with her name is Rennie. The dean of students, or whoever it is calling her by her last name, which is Bathory. And you know, he's just kind of asking or looking through her portfolio, because this is a fashion school, of course, that she's trying to get into. And she's kind of going through like memory flashback of killing this guy who is trying to sexually assault this woman in an alley. And she's kind of just having like this conversation in which, you know, she's reflecting on how it is that she used to be. Like, she's saying that she used to have anger management issues and, you know, always angry, and that's basically what resulted in her killing people and all this other stuff. Very important that you pay attention to the tattoo that the guy has on his chest. As you can see, it will be important later. So while the principal or dean is looking through, and he's just like super excited by, you know, what she's bringing in her portfolio, and he welcomes her to the school and everything, she starts going to the class, and she has promised not to kill any of her classmates. Okay, so she's going to the class, and a girl sits next to her. The girl's name is Sophie, and she asks her about the blind hem, and like if her jacket was leather. And she's like, you know, I made it myself. It's kind of leather, like chill out, touching me type thing. And you can see like the teacher in this class is kind of impressed with it. But then there's this girl named Constance who's like, oh my God, you came to fashion school wearing your own like clothes that you made. Oh my, how gross. And she's like, is that not the point of this fucking school? Is to wear and make your own goddamn clothes? Exactly. What are we talking about? She sounds like a hater to me. Anyway, so the teacher is like, you know, we need impeccable here and blah, blah, blah. So when she takes the jacket off, the etching on the back is very familiar, is it not? So now she is our killer, okay? Like, there is absolutely no doubt about it. Like, if we were to go to court right now, she is the killer, okay? The thing is, you know, why does she do it, right? So she is at lunch minding her own business. Now, she does have this thing where she does a scratch. She has a skin condition, and when Sophie comes over to the table and she's like, I prefer to eat alone, and Sophie notices that she's scratching, and she's like, you know, I noticed that earlier in class, like, are you good? And she's like, I have a skin condition which gets annoyed, or which gets agitated when I am more so annoyed. And so Sophie is very, very loud, very, very happy, and very much somebody I would have told to go the fuck away. Not even gonna lie, because girl, you're doing too much right now. And so she calls for her friend Bets to come over and have a seat with them, and they're talking. Constance comes over to talk shit about her, like bringing her own lunch, and they're just like, she doesn't really like the working class. Like in class, Sophie's phone went off, and she's basically a DoorDash driver. They call it something else in the book, but that's essentially what she is. And Constance, of course, recognized and was like ew, gross, like, do you have a delivery or whatever the fuck. So she very much looks down on people who have to work, which is weird. And you know, they make note of that, and she Rennie actually makes Constance uncomfortable by talking about how like soft her skin is and all this other shit. If you were to touch my skin and say the words that she was saying about her skin, I would also be creeped out, not even gonna lie. So of course she creeped her out. Now the girls are sitting there talking. Guy comes over, his name is Bodhi, and he's like all lovey-dovey on Sophie, and Rena's just like, nope, absolutely the fuck not. And she leaves, and he's like, who is that? Like, what was it? She's like, oh, that's my new friend. She's like, oh my god, I'm gonna save you a table, same table, or I'm gonna save you a seat tomorrow, same table, love you, bye. Like, you know, type thing. And so she starts to get accustomed to Sophie when she sees the type of person that Sophie is. Sophie's very sweet, very soft, and she's obviously really wanting to succeed in this like whole fashion school situation. Now when it shows the two of them like hanging out, doing their drawings and everything together, sewing together and stuff like that, she's very calm around her. But then when she notices that she's being bullied by Constance, it's making her itch. That itch though is the itch to kill somebody. Okay. I know she said that, you know, my skin condition gets like, you know, aggravated and flares up when I'm annoyed, but that's the itch to kill someone. Having the itch to kill someone be a physical itch is fucking genius. Now, when they go to class the next day, she actually makes a point to say that Constance is becoming a problem and she's itching to kill her, literally. Right, so the next day, the teacher announces that one of the people dropped out of the class, and she's like, you know, I told y'all this wasn't for everybody, blah, blah, blah. And so she then starts talking about they're basically going to be having a competition, a fashion competition, to where they come up with an original design that they sketch and quite possibly make. It's like 30% of their final grade or whatever. And the teacher is very interested in the hairpins that Rennie has in her hair. And she's like, is this ivory? And she's like, no, it's bone. And she's like, did you carve those yourself? Yes, I did. Oh, right. Okay, wild, right? Okay. So, when she starts talking about everything and she dismisses the class, of course they're like, oh, I hope you two don't think that she means that you come up with something undeniable because Constance wins all of the competitions ever, blah blah blah. And she's ready to get rid of that girl, you know what I'm saying? She's ready for her to go. However, and when she talks about it, she says that she wants to skin her alive and bathe in her blood. Okay. Now, what's keeping her from doing so is that she is being sexually harassed by a security guard. So when the security guard is alone, my girl takes absolutely no chances, no hesitation. She stabs that man in the throat. And she's like, it's going to be over quickly. Quicker than you deserve, actually. She wanted her, but you're lucky that you was getting sexually harassed because you were the one that she was going to take out, okay? And so she goes back to her apartment. She's bathing in a tub of blood where she has skinned the security guard alive and bled him into her tub so that she could bathe in there. Now, what's very interesting about this is her last name, Bathory. It's very, very reminiscent of the serial killer Elizabeth Bathory, or Elizabeth Bathory, if you guys watched Castlevania. The Castlevania character is, or Castlevania Nocturne anyway, that character is based off of the actual woman, Elizabeth Bathory, who also went by Elizabeth Bathory, who was a serial killer who allegedly killed 600 girls and bathed in their blood so that she could stay young. This being very much mirror of that, I thought was very interesting. The artwork is very, very, very much the same as plastic. No denying that. Undeniable, okay? But I am very interested in the story. I really am, because if she is anything like the main character from Plastic, we are going to see a lot of bodies dropping around the school. No problem. I was very interested in this, and even more so that she is very much doing the Elizabeth thing. So, and the reason I'm interested in that is because I do have a new podcast coming out with Captain Diesel that is called Ghastly Gospels, and Elizabeth Bathory is the one that we're going to be talking about first. So I'm super interested in this. What's even more interesting is the fact that this story is kind of reminiscent of Plastic anyway, because like he wasn't just going out and killing people just because. It was like people who were horrible people, like and he's like labeling them, of course. So he's like, you know, the guy who kicked the cat, stealing food, stealing change, like, you know what I'm saying? So it's very reminiscent of that. But her thing is she doesn't like when women are being sexually assaulted. So, and then she puts like remnants of them in her fashion work, because that guy's tattoo being on the back of her jacket that she made. I'm wondering if that was on a jacket of his, or if she just like took that symbol and just put it on the jacket, because she did say, actually, no, she said that she made the jacket herself. So yeah, so I think that that's really interesting. How they're doing this story seems to be really cool. So very interested indeed to see how it is that they go about that. I'm wondering if Rennie is her real name too. But that is it for this episode of The Doctor's Office. If you haven't listened to the podcast, listen to the podcast. Buy the book if you haven't bought the book. And I will see you guys at your next checkup.